Good morning. It is Sunday, December 15th. I'm Sloan Sanders Townsend. I'm here with Michael Steele. Alicia is off. Today, ABC agrees to pay Donald Trump, guess what, guys, $15 million to settle a defamation lawsuit just before the former president and their anchor sat for depositions. Plus, the next controversial Trump pick courting senior senators, RFK Jr., heads to the Hill this week. And Ben Wickler joins the conversation to tell us why he should lead the Democratic Party into the future. Grab your coffee, folks, and settle in. Welcome to the weekend.
We're learning more about the settlement reached in Donald Trump's defamation lawsuit against ABC. According to the settlement terms, ABC has agreed to pay $15 million to a presidential foundation and museum to be established by or for Trump. Trump alleged that anchor George Stephanopoulos defamed him during an interview with Congresswoman Nancy Mace back in March. Now, the lawsuit centered around the anchor's language describing Trump's treatment of women and the E.G. Carroll case. The settlement comes days before both Trump and Stephanopoulos were scheduled to sit for depositions in this case. Joining us now, Msnbc legal analyst Joyce Vance. She's a professor at the University of Alabama School of Law, a former U.S. attorney, and co-host of the hashtag Sisters in Law podcast. Welcome.
Good to see y'all.
Okay, Joyce.
Simone's getting straight to business.
Yeah, you know. First of all, Joyce, the bob is bobbing today.
It is a bob
Joyce
day.
is part of the crew of the bob off.
The bob,
Yes,
right.
the bob off.
I've been working on my bob, but it's not as good.
We don't qualify, Michael.
We don't qualify.
Okay, Joyce. First of all, you are familiar with defamation cases. This is what you had to say on Blue Sky. You said, I'm old enough to remember and have worked on cases where newspapers vigorously defended themselves against defamation cases instead of folding before the defendant was even deposed. That, by the way, includes defamation cases brought by candidates for the presidency, albeit a third-party one here. And then you link to a Washington Post article from the Robertsons libel suit that was dismissed in 1988. I was, picking out the Christmas decorations last night, Michael, yesterday afternoon. I was doing my nails, and I was just like, 15 minutes, what is going on? I was surprised by this. Because they hadn't set for a deposition yet, I was.
I think everybody was surprised by this, and precisely because the depositions had not taken place yet. It seemed like a really early point in this case for it to be settled. You know the standard in a defamation case, right? In order to prevail, Trump would have to prove that ABC was reckless when it came to the truth or falsity of the statements that they made on the air. That would be a really tough bar for Trump to reach in this case because of the kinds of statements that were made in the outcome of the E. Carroll defamation case against Trump.
The thing that I find interesting to the point of some of the folks in the media, so for example, you have, from the New York Times reporting, several experts in media law said they believe that ABC News could have continued to fight, given the high threshold required by courts for a public figure like Mr. Trump, which you just alluded to. A plaintiff must not only show that a news outlet published false information, but that it did so knowing that the information was false or substantial, with substantial doubts in its accuracy. Here's the problem. The judge in the case said basically, there was rape, but the narrow definition under the law, under New York law, made that a question. I mean, that's the part I don't understand, because the judge himself.
What Stephanopoulos said was wrong.
Right.
Because I saw that interview.
This is like a law school 101 sort of thing.
Take us there. Well, take me there.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go back. Let's go back.
The evolution of rape law in America. Traditionally, there was this very strict definition. Rape was penis and vagina and nothing else. But of course, we have a more modern definition where, for instance, the allegation that E. Carroll makes that Trump raped her using his finger, right, that would be sort of a more modern definition of rape. New York law takes an older view where there's rape and then there's sexual assault. And the jury found that E. Carroll had been sexually assaulted by Trump, not raped. And so the distinction here is that semantic one. The judge's comment, by the way, which is made after this show airs on ABC, so I think it's significantly after. I think it's still powerful evidence for ABC that they could have used, because the judge says, well, in the common parlance, this is rape. But technically, the jury found sexual assault.
So in that vein, then, this goes back to what we've seen with the media class since probably several months before the election itself. This sense of we just don't want to engage with Trump.
Yeah.
In a sort of negative atmosphere. So we want to clear the decks. We're going to start all over. We're just going to go. We'll go to Mar-a-Lago and we'll talk to them. Or we'll bring people up here. We'll do whatever it takes to kind of level set the conversation. But for Trump, that's all victory. For Trump, this is, they didn't have the account set up for this. They have no place to put the $15 million.
$15 million just going to be sitting in escrow like they about to buy a house?
Right, exactly. So, I mean, what does that say to you that, I've been on this program and elsewhere complaining, because it is a complaint, about how the legal system itself has been so easily manipulated. The media now is sort of falling into that, we want to play nice. What's your assessment of how this affects the way the country governs itself when both the judicial and the media space seem so willing to blow past the obvious problems with this incoming administration?
I mean, we all know the basics. We have 3 branches of government. They are meant to operate as checks and balances. And the press is always referred to as the fourth estate, the 4th branch of government, right? Because the press plays an incredibly important role, sunshine on government activity, and by their objectivity, holding government elected officials to account. The question here is about the way Trump operates in the government space, because he wields the levers of power in a way that few presidents have. And I think there are concerns that people have that are wide-ranging, right?
Yeah.
Might he interfere, for instance, with mergers and acquisitions or with licensing? And so, the press is in a difficult position. Everyone understands that. That doesn't change the obligation to be straightforward and objective when it comes to Donald Trump.
I would just say, this feels like it has a real chilling effect. Shout out to the Standards Department. Okay, Standards is always making sure that we are keeping the bar high and substantive and accurate. But what George Stephanopoulos said in that interview, it seems to hold up with what the judge said after the fact. And now his news organization and himself, George Stephanopoulos himself, is paying $1 million of his own money to the lawyers, and ABC $15 million. It's insane. In the time we have left, there's another lawsuit, not Donald Trump. It feels like Donald Trump is evading the law, and then you got crazy lawsuits like the one against Jay-Z. And the accuser has come forward to NBC News, acknowledges some inconsistencies in her allegations, to say the least. She accused Jay-Z and Diddy of raping her when she was 13 years old. She sat down on NBC News to recount what she called a catastrophic event, a limo ride to a White House, not the White House, a White House, a drink that made her feel woozy. But Jay-Z came back via his lawyer and picked apart everything she said in this interview. She herself even her own father was like, I think I would remember picking her up, and I don't.